Welcome, everyone. It is Sunday, August 13th, 2023, and this is the Morgellons Call of the Week. I am Robin, the co-host, and it actually stopped raining. It's a sunny day here in Western Massachusetts, and I'm thrilled to be part of this call. Morgellons is a really challenging, insidious disease, and there's so few resources to help. It's easy to get discouraged and feel helpless and lost and not know which way to turn. And we are so blessed because we have this Sunday call. We have Richard Kuhns, who just is in the process of releasing the 13th edition of his book, How to Get Your Life Back from Morgellons and Other Skin Parasites, which is kind of an encyclopedia of what to do to get your life back, including the diet. It has the diet, which it took him, 2 or 3 years to figure out, and it has how to disinfect your environment, your clothes, your skin. I mean, it's just, and if one thing doesn't work, it talks about how to get to the next level of what you have to do. It's a wonderful resource. And on top of that, we have access to Richard. So we can email him questions. You can be on this call and you can ask him questions, which he will answer. He will, if he doesn't know the answer, he researches more, including the research that we do for him. And, you know, there's a very small number of doctors that are trying to treat Morgellons, but they're pretty clueless. They don't, they're mostly Lyme literate doctors, and they treat it like Lyme, but it's not exactly Lyme, and the treatments vary and have varying degrees of success. But, Richard has actually been through all of this. He's had Morgellons, he's had Lyme, he's had mites, he's had springtails, he's had strong leotes. Did I say that right? But he has gotten his life back, and he is sharing his wisdom, strength, hope, and experience with us. I think Richard is a world-leading expert on Morgellons, and I'm so grateful to be part of his team and part of this call and to give back, because it means a lot, I mean, a lot of people get their lives back and then they disappear because they've got their lives back. But I want to give back. So that's why I'm here, and that's why Richard's here. And so at this time, I'd like to introduce Richard Kuhns, author of How to Get Your Life Back from Morgellons and Other Skin Parasites.
Thank you so much, Robin, for all those kind words. You are my Robin number one. That's an inside joke. Last week's testimonial came from Robin from California. Last week she was Robin number. Well, anyway, if someone told you, I mean, here you have been perhaps itching and going, told you unequivocally that what you eat matters in terms of what you feel in relation to the itching, the biting sensations. What would you do? What would you do, Rob? If somebody told you, there you were, ready to burn your house down, and you had no idea what to do. And if someone had just told you, I mean, forget the book, forget all that, but if someone had just told you, I think you might look at the connection between what you eat and your symptomatology. What would you have done?
I didn't believe it. The first time someone said that to me, it was when I had Lyme, and it wasn't about your diet. I was trying to find ways to get well because I was really sick. And and someone said, "Oh, just cut out sugar and take walks." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." Whatever.
It's got to be more to it than that, right?
Well, and there is. It's not just cutting out sugar.
Right.
But yeah.
But that was kind of like a speculation. But if you actually heard someone say that it's been proven time and time and time again, there's a connection between what you eat and the symptomatology of itching and biting. Got in trouble with that word today. Where would you start? What would you do? I mean, you've tried everything else.
I would try. Well, when I found a Lyme literate doctor, the first thing she did was give me certain vitamins and a diet suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
I was not great at following, but yeah, I became more and more open to the idea as time went on.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got Morgellons and when I found you and your book, I was totally committed to the diet. I just kept making crazy mistakes for months.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a while to get it to work.
Took a couple of months, didn't it, for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the strange thing is that to test this, you can do this one of two ways. One, you can fast for 72 hours. It's not recommended to go beyond 72 hours because of ketosis, which could be life-threatening, and only done under a physician's supervision if you're going to go past 72 hours. And that is, eat nothing, drink only water, and take no vitamins, no supplements at all, just for 72 hours. And you will most likely notice that the symptoms will be subsiding. Oftentimes, within just a few hours, you'll notice a difference. Now, I'm not really into fasting, and I don't really recommend doing it. So, on the other hand, you could use bone broth. Go to a butcher and get real bones, made, beef bones, and bring them home and cook, put in some water and drink the broth. You can get a little fancy. You can add some celery. You can add some onion to the bone broth, but no carrots. No carrots. Sorry. And consume the bone broth. Now, do not go to the store and buy prepared bone broth. That has other ingredients in it. Now, there is one bone broth that you found is good. What's the Imagine? Is that what the...
Yeah, that's one brand that's safe for us on the diet.
Imagine bone broth. Okay, so there is one that you can get if you don't have a butcher nearby. So, now, what stands in the way, you see this diet is incredible. And I share my experience. When someone suggested that there might be a dietary connection, having been in the stress management field for a long time, and I knew that certain foods cause problems, hypoglycemia can be, and so for a long, and actually we can get addicted, we get addicted, most of us get addicted to sugar, and then we get addicted to soda, and then we get addicted to, even things like orange juice. So I was often working with clients to find out what their addictions might be too. And something like orange juice would show up. They have a lot of orange juice, and So generally, it's what you consume a lot of and need a lot of is what you are often addicted to. And by getting rid of that substance, then of course that would eradicate the hypoglycemia response and things would normalize. So I knew about elimination diets, and I decided to do it for myself in this regard. And for some reason or other, the only food I chose was eggs. Maybe it was morning, and I was going to have eggs. So I didn't put any butter in. I didn't put any oil in. I just cooked eggs on Teflon and had them sunny side up. I liked them. And that's the way I started. And much to my surprise, not to my chagrin, but my surprise, is that within hours, I noticed little, if any, itching or biting. And I thought, wow, maybe there is a connection here. Now, you don't have to start with eggs. In fact, eggs are on the diet, but turns out that for some people, for a very, very small percentage of people, eggs do not work the way they did for me and can contribute to the reactions of the itching and the biting. So that began the process of keeping a diary and writing things down and making notes. And okay, so it was my mother and myself. We were both had the organisms, and when people say that the organisms are not contagious, I can only say bull, because she caught them from me. It's as simple as that. And being in the same household and not knowing about the protocols of disinfection and laundry and so forth, so she ended up having them as well. So we both started with eggs, and it was fine. It worked good for us. And, you know, life can be boring with just eggs. So I don't know why we decided to have some corn chips for maybe a snack. Oh, big mistake. So, all right, we start corn chips or no. So we take corn chips out of our diet. And then we have some meat. All right, that was fine. We're going to stick with just dry, Teflon. I cooked the meat on the Teflon and the natural oils, and that was fine, and that worked. And so that began the process of about a year of note-taking. And if I had something that caused me to itch, I'd write that down, and that went on the no list, the do not eat list. And if I ate something and I had no reaction, that went on the safe list, the eat list. And that had became known as the King Diet. I named it King Diet because, King, tops, that was tops, it's the only reason. More recently, we call it the Morgellons Diet because when people go to the internet, they wouldn't know to search for the word king. They would be looking for Morgellons, which would be a search word that would take them more likely to the diet. So over the years, we've had literally hundreds of people achieve success with the diet. In the last 2 weeks, we had Robin from California. And the week before that, we had Pam from Florida share their experiences in utilizing the King Diet. Now, the King Diet is not the end of all. It gets you rolling. And there are many mistakes that are easily made with the King Diet. For instance, I was coaching someone during the week, and she was talking about expanding her diet a little bit from the greens and vegetables and basic meat, and she noted that she added in, she was telling me she was having some more difficulty with the itching and the biting, and she added in bacon. Well, what do you think about bacon, Robin?
I think unless it's sugar-free and it has no other added natural flavors, it's not going to work.
Yes, it needs to be sugar-free, low-sodium bacon is the only thing that can work. And then again, depending on your particular idiosyncrasy, it may not work for you. And she also shared that she had rotisserie chicken from the grocery store. Well, what do you think about rotisserie chicken, Robin?
Unless it says all natural, no ingredients, it's going to be a nightmare.
True nightmare. Yeah, you want to get the rotisserie chicken that is just only chicken, and maybe they add butter to it, and that's it. So, but if you look at the rotisserie chicken that you get at most supermarkets, well, you have a hard time pronouncing most of the ingredients, and they go on and on and on. So here again, simple, basic mistakes. Stevia. How do we sweeten things? Well, there's no sugar, no honey, no carob, no, what else would we use for sweetener? None of that. Only stevia. So.
But it has to be stevia that has no other ingredients.
That's right. So do not assume because you find something that says stevia that it's going to be compatible with the diet. It is important to look at the ingredients. And if it's anything other than stevia, it is not going to. You see, the diet is so darn critical in the beginning. It gets better. You remember, there are 3 stages to this diet. Stage 1 is very, very critical. The slightest little mistake of having a Tic Tac breath mint, you're off the diet. A piece of gum, you're off the diet. Taking a multiple vitamin that you've gotten and used for years, like Centrum, you're off the diet. Any multiple vitamin, in fact, that is commercially available in this country, except for the one that we have, and you're off the diet. It is not going to work. It is like walking on a fence 6 feet tall and only an inch wide. It's so easy to make mistakes. So, with that in mind, the best way to do it is with the diary, as I did. Robin did. Mary, did you do a diary?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Write down everything you eat, everything you drink, and the time that you did it. And then notice how you feel within, say, 20 minutes. If your itching factor, I used an itch factor of 0 to 6. Yours could be 0 to 10. 6 was as bad as it could get, driving me nuts with itching. 0 to a half to 1, that was nominal. That was acceptable. All right. So my goal is to get down to 0 to a half in my subjective rating. And then I considered that being good, that being progress. So keep that diary. If you react within 20 minutes to something after you've eaten, well, you know that even though it's on the diet, it could be rice, it could be spelt, it could be coffee, it could be eggs. If you react within 20 minutes, you know you're not ready for spelt, rice, or eggs at this point. Sure, when you get into stage 2, and we'll discuss that in a minute, sure. Now there is one other thing that can get confusing in the beginning. And this is because you have been a walking, talking, breeding parasite machine. That means everywhere you have gone in your house, in your automobile, or in your office, you have been shedding these organisms. They have been, air currents they've been jumping off of you. If we're talking about Columbella, they jump off of you. You're talking about Morgellons, the filaments and fibers. They're off of you into the air. and deposit it on furniture, in your automobile, your bedding, your clothing, and all of this needs to be disinfected, cleaned. And simultaneously, you need to start doing that as well. For me, simply spraying ammonia worked very well. Of course, I didn't spray it and stand around smelling it. I sprayed it and moved away so that I smelled very little of any of it. It's the fumes that do the job. So you need to start disinfecting your bedding, your furniture, your table, under the table, your bathroom, around the toilet. Chapter 3 is very detailed in all the places that you want to disinfect. Your automobile, the console, the dashboard, the ceiling, the sides, everywhere that these organisms can be, you want to disinfect. Now, I was fortunate. Ammonia worked for me, but ammonia may not be the best for everybody, and you may have more resistant organisms. So that's why in other calls we talk about ozone, we talk about the electrostatic sprayer, we talk about different pesticides, we talk about enzymes that are used, but the idea is to disinfect the environment, because once you stop breeding them, you go sit down on the couch, and if you're itching there, is it from what you ate, or are you being recontaminated from the couch or the chair? So we need to clear that. So this is why I always recommend that before you sit anywhere, if you're using ammonia, you spray the area and then wait 10 or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, till the ammonia evaporates and is no longer odoriferous, and then you sit down. And after you leave the area, you spray the area. So then, most likely, if you feel anything while you are occupying that space, it's not from what you ate, it's from the environment. So the key is to kind of figure out how to separate your environment from what you're eating so that you can actually control these organisms by your diet. So there are updates that go out from time to time about the typical mistakes we made. One lady found that salt is on the diet. Typically, you would think any table salt that you buy in a grocery store would be okay. But diamond salt and some of the Morton salts have sugar in them, which means you use that salt, you're off the diet. Now, there is a delayed response, because what happens is that when you make this diet work, you'll sleep for the first time ever through the night. You will say, wow, I can't believe this. Why hasn't somebody told me about this diet before? Life becomes different. And as you are with the diet and strict with the diet and staying on the diet, you will notice that day in and day out, you're going to be lucky to have anything more than crawling sensations. You know, you might have a few crawling feelings or something like that, and the itching and the biting, and you'll start to think you are cured, that you have beat the organisms, and that you have made it. This is normal. And then, oh goodness, you'll be invited to somebody's birthday party. And you'll say, hey, I beat them. You know, I can have that cake. I can have that birthday cake. And guess what? You can. You can. And you will feel wonderful. And you'll say, I know, I beat them. I can eat anything I want now. And then you'll have a second piece of cake, maybe take one home, and maybe a third piece of cake a few days later, and right back into hell. It's like you never were on a diet to start with. That's called a delayed response. it kind of fools you, and you got to be on the lookout for it. Yes, you will get to the point in your life where I'm at, where I can eat all the cake I want anytime I want. Not that I do a lot of, because it's got a lot of sugar in it, and sugar overall is not really good for our health anyway. But this is what you need to be cautious about, is the delayed response. So for a period of time, you will feel nothing. You'll be on stage 1, and after you're on stage 1 for about 10 days, and you feel little of any activity whatsoever, you're down to the 0 to 1/2 scale, then you can begin moving on to stage 2. Now, I have found some people that have been on stage 1 for like 9 months. And I say, well, why are you still on stage 1? You know what the response is? It works.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take a chance. I don't want the symptoms back. I'm happy with stage 1. Well, you don't have to stay there, okay? You can then begin introducing stage 2 foods, which are superfoods. Bananas. So have a half a banana and introduce that banana. Have a few walnuts. Have a half a green apple. You're going to do fine, and then you have to gauge yourself into how quickly you can get into eating all the walnuts and all the green apples and that you want. Now, stage 2, it's amazing how just a few additional foods can make such a big difference. Now, there are idiosyncrasies between the diet with people who have Morgellons and those who are only dealing with Calumbula. Now, typically about 80% of the people who have Morgellons also are dealing with Calumbula. And so that means the diet is pretty strict. Because if you're only dealing with Calumbula, stage 2 of the diet, you can have sugar, you can have root beer, you can have some ice cream, some Haagen-Dazs ice creams. The vanilla ice cream, the chocolate ice cream, they got sugar in it. They don't have any diglycerides or any of the crap that the Ben & Jerry's have in it. So you need to stick with the Haagen-Dazs brand and not with any other brands that got diglycerides and all the other stuff. So if you only are dealing with Calumbula, yes, you can do that. You can have sugar. If you are only dealing with Morgellons, or if you have both Morgellons and Calumbula, no sugar. It won't be until stage 3. Robin, how are you with sugar now?
I can eat sugar now and then, just not a lot.
Not a lot. You still need to be cautious in the amount.
I make brownies with stevia and some sugar in them. Sometimes I take raw sugar and put it in my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And or if I'm cooking like cookies with stevia and spelt flour, I'll sprinkle sugar on top. You don't have to use a lot, and it makes it a lot sweeter.
Right. So in time, you can get with Morgellons. In time, maybe when stage 3 could take you 8 months, 9 months, or a year to get there, you can incorporate some sugar. But generally, you want to avoid it. And however, with Calumbula, only that, well, sugar's no big deal when you get into stage 2 and you move on. Now the probiotics. Again, this is another interesting thing, because if you're only dealing with Morgellons, probiotics are a good idea. If you have Calumbula, probiotics feed Calumbula, and you want to stay away from probiotics. So in our store, we have enzymes, and many of us have digestive issues, and we have agro-relief enzymes, which are free of probiotics, and they're just great, fantastic enzymes. And then when you get to stage 2, if you want to introduce probiotics, then we do have a probiotic enzyme formula that you can advance to. Now, you might say, well, but aren't probiotics really important for all of us? And yes, they are. However, it's fortunate that there are things called prebiotics, which are even more important than probiotics. And so we focus on prebiotics in the diet. Leafy green salads with raw onions, leeks. They are both fantastic prebiotics. So the prebiotics are very important. There is an update that goes out, and it's in the blog post of a list of about maybe 15 different prebiotics. About 5 or 6 of them we can handle in the King diet. The others are not. And one of the most powerful prebiotics ever is cocoa. Now, you're not going to put that in your salad, of course, but you can make a drink, cocoa. You can make, you can also use cocoa butter. Cocoa butter is good. So you can make your own chocolate candies with stevia. And if you're looking for the ingredients or the recipe, I'll be glad to email it to you. Essentially, it's, say, 4 ounces of cocoa butter, melt it, add in 4 ounces of Dutch cocoa, free of any additives like the ones we have in the store. And I always put it through a sifter and stir it and add it to the melted cocoa butter. Add in just a little tinge of sea salt. Sea salt, obviously, without any additives. And then put in about maybe, some stevia, real stevia to your taste, to your liking. Stir it up, and then, put it in molds and put it in the refrigerator, and you got your own dark chocolate candy, which is a great prebiotic. So now there are certain vegetables like avocado that you can have with the Morgellons, but not with Calumbula. Asparagus is probably okay with only Morgellons, but not with Calumbula. The Brussels sprouts you would think would be a good vegetable, but no, I have no idea why, but Brussels sprouts, Calumbula loves them. So in chapter 4, near the end, it tells you the idiosyncrasies between the two diets. And if you complete the questionnaire, which is available to you, if you don't have it, you can email me and I'll be glad to send it to you. And from that questionnaire, I'll give you an education as to which organisms you may be dealing with. And if I suspect that you're dealing with both Calumbula and Morgellons, well, then you want to be on the strictest portion of a diet. And that's going to be important. Now, about wine, beer, and things like that. Well, in stage 2 of the diet, if you're only dealing with Calumbula, you can have light beer, you can have white wine. Red wine is always out. With Morgellons, sorry, you're going to have to wait till stage 3. How are you with wine and beer at this point, Robin?
Oh, I don't drink, so it's not.
Okay, so it's a no. Mary, I suppose.
I can't drink beer because of the gluten, and the white wine I can drink, but there's this thing about wine that wine is naturally gluten-free. However, when it's stored in natural casks, the glue they use to keep the casks together, some of it has some of the glue has gluten in it, and it can contaminate the wine. So there are very few brands that I will drink, because unless I can actually research something and find out if it's truly gluten-free, it's not worth it to me to drink it.
Yeah, so drinker beware. Now, if there's anybody on the call who has been efforting at making this diet work and has not been getting the results that I claim you can get, what I would like you to do is contact me, email me. But before you email me, keep a diary for at least 3 days. Write down everything you eat and when and the time, everything you drink and the time, any supplements that you take and the time. And then notice in the diary or the journal, write how you feel 20 minutes after you have consumed whatever it was that you had. Do that for 3 days and send it to me. And I'll be glad to look at it and see where you may be making the mistake. If you will put like stevia, well, you're going to want to put the brand down, and if you're going to want to put the ingredients that are in the stevia that you're having. So if you're having any packaged foods or canned foods that are there, I'm going to want to see what the ingredients are. Just don't put down, oh, I had green beans. I want to see what the ingredients are if they came from a can. I know what the ingredients are if they came from Mother Nature. Okay. Robin, you have anything to add?
No.
Did we miss anything?
I have nothing to add. I think you did a great job today.
Make the diet work. Mary, would you have anything you'd like to add?
Nope. It was your information is really good.
It's amazing. You are only 2 to 3 hours away from a miracle if you make that diet work. 2 to 3 hours from a miracle. No doctor in the world is going to get you there. No supplement, nothing is going to get you there except the diet. Now, there are people who don't do the diet, and yeah, they do get relief from our debriding soap, our Nature's Gift debriding soap. I don't know how they do, but they do. So I can't say that, to me, I think you'd want to do the diet and not have to invest in so much of the products. Because now, once you get the diet going and you get rid of the itching and the biting, now what does that allow you to do? Well, there are other factors involved with Morgellons. It's just not the itching and the biting. There is sometimes Lyme disease involved. There is sometimes Strongyloides cervicalis involved. Sometimes there are intestinal parasites involved. Sometimes there's Candida albicans and other fungal organisms. And sometimes there are, there's an update that if you write me and I'll reference you to it, all the cofactors. Some of them can be basic bacterial infections of your skin, for instance. And then you can deal with all these other symptoms that, and using the protocol, get your life back. Well, that concludes this portion of the program.
Hi, everyone. It is Sunday, August 13th, 2023. We've been having a wonderful discussion about making the diet work and the benefits of that, and we're about to enter our Q&A session in this Morgellons call.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Richard Tunes, author of How to Get Your Life Back from Morgellons, Chronic Lyme, and Other Skin Parasites, welcoming you to questions and answers. Now, because we will get technical in our recommendations, I advise you that the FDA tells me to inform you that before you start the King Diet or accept any of our recommendations, you're to thoroughly discuss them with your medical doctor to make sure they do not interfere with any health problems. The AMA requires me to inform you that we are not medical doctors, we are not trained as such, we have not passed the rigorous testing, and therefore only those who have passed the testing by the AMA are allowed to diagnose, treat, cure, or mitigate a disease. We do not do that. What we can do is we can educate you how to utilize the King Diet, which is what the first part of this program is about. And by the way, this little spiel applies to that first part of the program as well as this part of the program. We can educate you how to clean them out of your skin, how to get them out of your environment, and how to build health and immune functioning utilizing our targeted supplements. Okay, so Chris, who do we have on the question list here?
Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Welcome.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today? You're from Ohio, I believe?
Yes, I am.
Good. How's the weather in Ohio today?
Lovely today. No more rain. So.
Wow, and it's lovely here too. Beautiful. Okay, so what would you like to ask? How can we help you?
I think my biggest thing is that as I cleanse myself and my environment, I believe that my son is infected. So that creates a challenge for me.
He lives with you?
He is part-time with me and his father, and I believe the home he's living in is infected. So I'm very torn because even if I get him started on diet and supplements, then my fear is that he's going to continue to bring the organisms back and forth.
How old is he?
I think he's 19.
Okay. And he has no symptoms? Symptoms? Does he have uncomfortable itching and biting or any lesions or any things that are visible?
Yes, all the above. And he has severe ADHD. He's had it all his life. I believe he was infected through me, through birth. He's highly medicated, and I want to move forward. I want to help him. But I'm created with this challenge of the other environment.
How often does he live with you? And how long?
4 days a week, and then he's back and forth between the other homes. There are cats there, and there's not an environment that.
Okay, so when he's with you, he can be on the diet. Does he? How about his preferences? Does he get upset if he can't eat what he wants to eat, or is he compliant?
He's not compliant, quite honestly. I think that once I start moving forward, and I just have gotten myself to the point of being in an environment that I feel is able to be, the way it needs to be. So therefore, I think that his resistance will alleviate over time as he starts to get well. My fear is that, though, he's going to continue to be infected. Maybe through this at his age, I'm hoping that he can realize this himself, because of the severe ADHD symptoms and the resistance and the kind of the anger that he has. That's
I think the only thing that we can control is the period of time when he is with you. So can you have him eat only what's on the diet?
Certainly.
Okay.
He wants to get well. He doesn't know what's wrong with him, and I don't want to go into detail because that just causes a whole.
All right. Now the second thing, when he comes to the house, his clothing are probably contaminated that he's wearing. Is it practical for him to jump right in a tub and begin the cleansing in the tub with the Nature's Gift and some peppermint or something in the tub as a disinfectant? Is it practical to get him, as soon as he comes in the house, to ditch his clothing, put him in a bag, and jump right into the tub?
Well, if that's what I need to do, we're going to do it. So I'm going to.
That's what you need to. That's what you need to do. You need to limit his ability to contaminate any part of your house, because he's a walking, talking, breathing machine. And as soon as you get him into the tub and bathing and get his clothing into the laundry and go through the protocol that to whatever degree you need to. I mean, the ultimate protocol is to put the clothing in a tote with ammonia in the bottom and let them seep there for a few hours, then go through the cycle or whatever you need to do that you do yourself, and have them laundered so that he can, after he comes out of the tub, he can put on clean, uncontaminated clothing. And being on the diet right away, you always need to keep him on stage 1. You'll never be able to let him on stage 2 because it won't work. because he's going back to the other environment. So maybe after a few months, he'll realize that when he's with you, he feels better, and and when he's with his dad, he feels crummy, and wants to do more of that when he's with his dad. I don't know. You know, I don't know where that will go.
Well, all we can do is try. My concern is the 7 different medications that he's on. So do I start the diet and then wean him off of those and see as he gets, cleansed of the organisms?
Well, I have no idea what the medications are. I'm not a doctor. I really can't advise you. But when he's with you,
right,
I would have him on the supplements that you're using, the Max One or the patch and the Garcellin and the vitamins and the minerals and how's his digestion? Does he have good digestion or does he have digestive issues?
No, he's a typical product of the individual in the Lyme books with the heavy belly and the stretch marks and all of that. So I've been fighting this battle with his father for years, and one of the reasons I'm moving on is for that very reason, aside from my health, of course. So it's going to be a long road, but just the confirmation from you, I appreciate. I know it needs to be done, so thank you for the added advice.
Well, sure. I was asking about the digestion because if that's an issue, then you want to have him on the enzymes, the agro relief. You'll want to have him on the gut restore. Well, right now we have ion gut repair. That's soil minerals. We have L-glutamine. You'll have to make an assessment as to whether you think he should be having the systemic enzymes. They used to be called Sericor. We call them now systemic enzymes. So you'll have to make those assessments as to what degree. They will not interfere with any medications he's on. In terms of taking him off medications, well, I'll have to leave that between you and the doctor or whatever, or to figure out.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Richard.
You're welcome. All right, thank you. Who's next, Chris? Keep coming back.
That's it for today, Richard.
Wow, only one question? All these people and only one question? Well, goodness gracious. So, Mary, you have a myriad of them there, so let's go through them. We had a couple from last week even.
Yep, I do, and I'd like to make a comment about Jackie's son and the ADHD. In Europe, ADHD is treated with diet and not with medications like it is here, and I think she will find that the preservative-free diet and the all-natural food may actually improve his ADHD. So
I'm glad you mentioned that, because the other thing too is that the research indicates by boosting glutathione is one of the most important things you can do with the ADHD to reduce symptomatology. So definitely one of the more important aspects of the supplements is to boost that glutathione significantly. Okay.
Yes, I have seen some change with him wearing the patches recently, so less anger, and so thank you for the recommendation.
Sure thing. Okay. You got questions there?
I do. I have a bunch of them. The first one is from Duncan, and he says, "Hi, Richard. I bought the electrostatic sprayer and started using it with insecticides, triple and formula. The flying mites I have seem to not like it, as they have been a lot more aggressive with biting since I started with it. From what you have seen, is that normal behavior for biting mites? I'm wondering if I should ramp up more with the electrostatic sprayer."
Okay, he's referring to, in the book, there's called a triple pesticide, and Robin came along a year or so ago and added 2 more to it, so it's now the Sync 5 pesticides. IGR, Exponent, and I forget what the other one is, but they're growth inhibitors. Now, the problem, they recommend that they only be used once every 11 days. And they recommend that if you use it more frequently than that, exactly what Duncan is experiencing is going to be happening, that the organisms get more aggressive. So with those pesticides, they're only to be used every 11 days, not more frequently at all. In between those 11 days, you could spray with other things that we use. We can use the enzymes, for instance, clean them up zymes on a daily basis, but only every 11 days with the triple pesticide. Next question.
Okay, the next one is from Amelia, and she says, "Hi, Richard. May I know if you and Robin are still taking the Nitenpyram? Sorry.
That's
and
fine.
When you were taking it, was the relief or activity immediate?"
I thank Amelia for the question. She's from Indonesia. And I have never used Nitenpyram. Nitenpyram wasn't available until about maybe a year or so ago. And I had gotten rid of my mites and all that stuff many, many, many moons ago, years ago. But Robin, you can share your experience, right?
Yeah. Actually, things got worse at first because it draws them out of your skin. And Nitenpyram is, I can never pronounce, what is it?
Nitenpyram.
Nitenpyram is not a fast, instant cure. It's a long-term thing that you take, and I still take it. When I stopped taking it, they came back because my environment isn't totally clear, and for my cat and for myself, it was months-long process.
How often did you take it? Was that once every 3 or 4 days, or?
No, I started doing that, and then I ended up taking it every day for a few months, and then I would take it just a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
But it's not instant and it's not fast. But it's really important.
Right, and what you say is important because if you've got an animal like a cat and you let the cat outside, that cat is going to get reinfected and bring them right back in, and you're never ever going to get rid of the organisms because you're constantly being reinfected, and you'll have to take Nitenpyram practically forever and ever and ever until you stop the cat from going out.
It complements the glucophenoron.
Mary, have you taken it, or you have any?
I take it. Yes, and I love it, and I was petrified to start it because I have reactions to food and chemicals and just everything, and it's done really well for me. I haven't had any reactions to it, and I use it with the cat, and I have cats that I feed out back that are feral that were born in my woods, and I just mix some of it in with their food, and they are not as irritated, and it's a godsend. Out of all the things that you can buy from his website, I think that one is the one that has made the biggest difference on a long-term basis. Although all the other ones help.
And you also open up the capsules and make it into like a trap for putting out on a plate or something for the organisms. You can put it in your refrigerator, and the organisms are attracted to it and destroyed, right?
Well, usually in the fridge, I'll just use like a bowl of ammonia with some mint in it, and that seems to work for them. But yeah, when I feed the outside cats, I run into a problem with flies because bowls are out there. Cats like to eat, walk away, and then come back and eat more. And in the summertime, the flies, they breed in the food for the short time that it's out there. And I swear all the flies have to do is look at this stuff and it kills them. So when I put it in with the cat food, it alleviates the problems for the cats, and it also kills all the flies.
Okay, great.
I mean,
good. Two birds with one stone.
Yeah, I end up with bowls instead of leftover cat food. I end up with more dead flies than leftover cat food.
Well, okay, now that's a medication, Nitenpyram. We do not have it in our website. If you're interested in it, you go to a website, www.shop, S-H-O-P, the number 4, Morgellons.com. And on that site, you can get the Lefiniran, Nitenpyram, and Fenben, 30 milligram boron capsules or tablets, and even Lefiniran. Ivermectin. Ivermectin is not a medication that I recommend using when we're dealing with Morgellons. Okay, next question.
Next question is from Sharon, and she says, I thought I understood that one didn't want to put ammonia with the Clean 'em Up laundry soap, as it will void out the live enzymes. Put borax instead in the Clean 'em Up laundry soap.
The important thing was when you're doing your laundry with the Clean 'em Up zymes, you only use the Clean 'em Up zymes by themselves, and the only purpose is to decontaminate the purpose is not to clean your laundry, it's to decontaminate your laundry. And then you go rewash them again, and then you can use the Nature's Gift, the laundry soap, and put in borax or whatever else that you would like along with it. But you never put in Nature's Gift or anything that can kill the enzymes, because they are live organisms. Next question.
Okay, this one's from Duncan, and it's really long. It starts out with, Hi, Richard. I just put some new clothes into my washer and dryer, and when I took them out of the dryer, they had Morgellons fibers and spots on them. I was looking at the clothes with an ultraviolet flashlight. A lint roller helps some, but I have to use a powerful handheld vacuum to remove the Morgellons from my clothes, which takes quite a bit of time.
Well, if he did the laundry correctly, and according to our protocol, then those filaments and fibers are most likely dead. So the fact that he can see them only means they are there, but we have no idea as to whether they are live and infectious or if they're simply dead. So just because you have them doesn't mean that they are active. Continue.
Is there a recommended protocol to kill Morgellons that are hanging out in my washer and dryer? These things are everywhere.
And I referred him to I sent him the blog post, and there is a blog post if you go to bestmorgellonscure.com. Best, B-E-S-T, morgellonscure.com. Go to the blog and search through the blog for laundry. And not too long ago, that blog post was published. Goes through the complete protocol that mostly Robin has come up with in dealing with laundry. Okay?
Okay. He also says, I've sprayed a couple of times with the electrostatic sprayer with Metaclean, and it seems very powerful. I had a mask covering my nose and lower face, goggles which fit tightly over my eyes, a hat, and protection around my neck and ears, as well as long gloves. But I apparently breathed in too much. I must have gotten some into my lungs. I'll have to order some additional equipment so I don't breathe in the Metaclean. I'll need to be very careful when spraying these chemicals with the electrostatic sprayer.
Well, if he's dealing with Morgellons, he doesn't want to use Metaclean. You don't want to use Metaclean. It's a pesticide. Pesticides, to my knowledge, are not beneficial or effective in dealing with Morgellons. Mites, Columbella, yes, but not Morgellons. So if he's dealing with Morgellons, he wants to switch to Clean 'em Up zymes. Clean 'em Up zymes seem to be very effective. Even the Benefect disinfectant that we have is effective. Now, the Benefect is ready to use and is rather more costly than the Clean 'em Up zymes, which is a concentrate, and I don't know, 1 ounce goes a long way. It has a dilution table. So now, if you're using the Metaclean, you don't want to be spraying and staying around. You want to spray and move. You don't want to stay there. If you're smelling it, you're staying there too long. The electrostatic sprayer is not a static. It's not something that you want to keep at one place. You just want to move. It's fast. It is efficient. So you don't stay. You point it and spray and stay there for 2 or 3 seconds. You move and move away from where you're spraying. Okay, some questions from last week, I believe.
Yeah. The first one is from Jude, and it says, "Hello, Richard. I have just retrieved a fairly large collection of red fibers from my nostril. How can this evolve? I'm not wearing red clothing."
Well, Morgellons, if you read the book by Dr. Saverly, Morgellons, Legitimization of Disease, filaments and fibers are an indication of Morgellons. They can be of all sizes and colors: red, white, black, blue. I don't know about green, but anyway, the other colors are reported. And finding them in your nose indicates, according to her, that you are dealing with Morgellons. And number one, start the diet. That's where you want to start, because until you do so, you're a walking, talking, breathing machine. And so you start the diet, and then go to the blog, bestmorgellonscure.com, and search back. You'll find recommendations for how to get them out of your nose, throat, and other areas. In fact, I think just within the last week or two, an update went out about that very subject. So look back to the last week or two for an update that it goes into how to deal with that. Another question.
The next one is from Heather, and she says, "I'm wondering if cinnamon, cauliflower, and fresh ginger juice are okay for stage 1.
Cinnamon is great. Cauliflower is great. Ginger juice, no. Ginger powder, yes. But there's a difference between, say, the ginger, raw ginger that you might get at a Chinese buffet, or the juice that comes from it. That is not compatible with stage 1, but the ginger powder is. Is that it?
She also well, I have more questions, but she also says, see the attached, these rice cakes have sesame seeds, so I'm not sure if they're okay.
No good. No sesame seeds. Plain rice cakes with butter. And then, be aware that some butter, you need to look at the ingredients, has flavorings and milk in it, and that could be a problem. So if you're having a problem with butter, you want to maybe find some ghee that has no flavorings or milk in it. So for many people, the regular butter that you get Land O'Lakes is okay, but if you're having trouble making the diet work, then you may want to remove the butter and see if that makes a difference. Okay, another question?
Yeah, this is the last one. It's a long one, so I'm going to kind of stop between paragraphs. It's from Michelle, and she says, I've been using the debriding soap, but I don't have a bathtub. How long should I leave it on before washing?
Well, in the shower, I used to think that no one would really get benefit unless they had a bathtub, and I've been proven wrong many, many times. So using the bar soap in the shower, the idea is to go in, wet your body, turn off the water, lather up, and be there for about 3 minutes, and then turn the shower on and wash off. Now you can repeat that 2 or 3 times if you want, and people have been getting results that way.
Okay, she says, you said you snacked on rice cakes somewhere in the book. The plain salted ones don't contain sugar. It doesn't say any added sugar, so I bought some but was waiting to ask. Do I eat them just plain?
Yes, plain rice cakes is fine. Like I said, add butter if you like, or ghee.
Oh, wait a minute. And she also says, I'm the only one affected out of my family of 5. Should I be doing anything special and washing their stuff daily too? I can't treat them because I have stepkids and their mom would likely try to take them away. I can hardly make it through the day just washing my stuff.
Wow, that's a real challenge there. You know, it being the only one that's affected, and the others do not show any symptoms, then there should be no need to necessarily disinfect their clothing or their areas, and only focus on your own area. Not everybody is affected with Morgellons. It is not uncommon to find one person out of a family unit of 5 or 6, and that one person is the only one that's affected. Now, sometimes those who claim to not be affected do exhibit signs. They have rashes, lesions that are visible, they're being itchy, and they are deniers. And they are the more difficult family members to deal with, because then they can contaminate your area. But if your family member is not affected, not showing any visible signs, well, then their clothes are not affected, need to be disinfected. Of course, you don't do your clothing with their clothing. You just don't do that. Just don't mix it. And you pretty much stay in your area of the home, your bedroom, or your area of the living space, and don't necessarily get into their area, because you don't want to be shedding the organisms into their area and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks later go in their area and get reinfected by your own organisms that you dropped there a couple of weeks ago. So you kind of want to control your area that you are. Okay, so any more?
No, that's it.
All right. Robin, you have anything to add to our Q&A?
No, well, just, this is the guy that was talking about laundry. You know, I've been deep cleaning parts of my house that I had never gotten to that are pretty infested with mites. And I started using the MetaClean in the laundry with your laundry soap, because I couldn't get my work clothes cleaned. They were so infested, I was ready to throw out my work clothes, and I started using the MetaClean and the Nature's Gift laundry soap, and I got everything clean with just one washing.
Well, that's a good tip. That's great.
Yeah.
Great,
So
thank you.
I was so impressed with that, because I don't have to do it all the time, but you know, when I'm deep cleaning and my clothes get totally infested, it made a big difference.
Now, how much MetaClean did you add into your washer?
Oh, I didn't measure it, but it was just a splash.
A splash? Okay. So you didn't put a cup in or anything like that. You just put
No, just
okay.
a little bit.
Okay, good. Okay, so maybe a teaspoon or something like that.
Yeah, maybe a tablespoon.
Tablespoon.
1 or 2 teaspoons, something like that.
Okay, great. All right, Mary, you have anything you'd like to add?
Lots of good information.
Okay, thank you. And that concludes this portion of the program. Welcome back, everybody. This is Richard Kuhns, welcoming you to the stress management portion of our program, which varies sometimes from entertainment to telling jokes to doing techniques like deep breathing and tapping. And managing stress is something that we always want to have something available to do, because stress happens to be cumulative. And if you are not managing it and letting it run awry, it can destroy you, because it can interfere with your creativity, with your intelligence, with your ability to remember, increase brain fog issues, and even make you think you have dementia. It can be that bad. So you want to take time to come back and manage stress. Now, when we're talking about stress, we get stressed out because we're dealing with something that there's no hope or help out there from the professionals that we would think would be able to help us. We go to the doctors and the best we get is that, well, maybe you might have Morgellons, but I don't know what to do about it. And the worst we get is that you're delusional. You got a problem. You need to see a psychiatrist. So that leaves a lot of stress. And then we have the stress of waking up in 3 a.m. in the morning with the relentless itching and the no relief. And we have them at work. We have them at home. We have 24/7. That's a lot of stress. So it's important to remember to step back whenever we can and do nothing more than to take some deep breathing, or in a moment, Robin's going to play some music. Find your favorite YouTube channel of music and listen to that. YouTube channel that I recommend everybody listening to is find tones, healing tones, or healing music, or music for prosperity and health. Look for those tones and just play them in the background all the time. That is beneficial and soothing as well. So you see, when we get stressed out, we have hormones involved. They are adrenaline, epinephrine, and cortisol, and they get us ready to fight or run. And when we're in that state of mind, our thinking and intelligence level is higher, goes to pot. Our ability to think and figure things out goes far away. So the idea in using stress management techniques is to kind of like bring things back down. Our homeostatic level is here, and then with Morgellons, we go higher and higher and higher, and it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. You get to a point where you break, and our goal is to catch it before that, bring us back down, do whatever we can to get down to homeostatic level. So Robin's got, she's a professional musician, and she's here with us every Sunday, and often shares with us her fantastic music capability. So Robin, it's all yours.
Okay, I have played you this song before, but it's one of my favorites. This is an Appalachian mountain dulcimer, and it's an instrument indigenous to America. Can you hear that okay? This is an old Appalachian spiritual song. Lord, I know not what my future holds. Lord, I have no way of knowing, but I know the one who holds my future. And I have no fear of where I'm going. Sometimes it seems like I'm standing still. until I look back and see how deep my valley, how high my hills, and each step nearer to eternity. Sometimes, my friend, misunderstand me, often, because I hear the sound of a different drummer. But I know my life is in his hands, just as sure as autumn follows summer. Lord, I know not what my future holds. Lord, I have no way of knowing, but I know the one who holds my future, and I have no fear of where I'm going.
Thank you, Robin. That's wonderful. Love listening to you singing and your dulcimer. Okay, well, that concludes this portion of the program.